morning, everybody. Welcome to Second Cup of Coffee with Pastor Tom with you. We're in week 3 of our series, The Beauty of the Prophetic. Really excited about this one. We gave you a little bit of grace last week. Really what we're talking about is the prophetic in my life and whether or not I'm receiving it. Because if I receive it, I receive the beauty of it, the benefit of it, as another way to say it. This week we're talking about out of Acts 27 and 28, Paul's ship going down. He's on his way to Rome. It wouldn't have gone down if they had listened to him. They didn't listen to him, so it got shipwrecked. But God put them on a certain island, and it was called Malta. So they're there. Nobody's lost, like Paul said. Nobody lost their lives. They all come into shore, and I can't imagine Paul. He's dragging himself up the seashore, and so what do I do after the shipwreck, Pastor? What do I do? I hung on to the prophetic word that got me really through the sinking of what I thought was my provision, even though, like we talked about in week 1, I knew in my heart I shouldn't have got on this provision anywhere, at least sailed at that moment, gone out of the harbor that I did. But I did anyway. We sank. Now I'm on this seashore. What do I do? You still got to engage the prophetic, but you need to do it practically. Be practically prophetic. What do I mean by that? One of the things they did was they built a fire. Why? Everybody's wet, everybody's tired. So they built a fire. And when they did that, Paul was gathering sticks as he was ought to do to serve other people. So build a fire. What does that look like for you in your life? Go to church. Engage in a body of believers. The next thing is he's serving, so serve. And the third thing is when he throws the sticks in the fire, this viper comes up and attaches itself to his hand. And the natives of Malta are looking and going, wow, this guy must have been a bad dude. He got saved from the ocean, but God's judging him. He's going to drown, he's going to die here. And what does Paul do? Shakes the snake off into the fire, and he just rolls on with his life. Doesn't freak out, right? Doesn't really cause a scene. He just shakes it off and rolls on. That's grace for you. If you get nothing out of week 3 of the beauty of the prophetic, follow that example of Paul. Satan's going to attack you. He's going to try to get you to get mad at somebody in the church. He's going to remind you of your failure and that you're still wet from floating around in the sea of your emotion because you're shipwrecked, because you shouldn't have done what you were supposed to do. Stop me when Satan, it doesn't sound like Satan anymore, right? He's the one that convinces us to go through the door we're not supposed to, stands on the other side and then condemns us for walking through it. So he's going to do that. What do? Shake him off in the fire of the presence of God. Worship louder than he talks. Pray louder than he talks. Begin to just shake it off and roll on with your life. Because what happened was, you may feel like all these people in this church, they're judging me because I went through, they know the bad stretch I went through, and they act like they've never done anything again to stop me when I'm not talking like Satan talks in your head. And I don't feel right here, and they don't accept me, or whatever it is, right? All of those things that we walk through. But what do we do with it? We need to let God establish us like he did Paul. Paul shook it off and kept on going. And they're watching his life. They're waiting to see him drop over dead because of this viper, and none of that happens. And they're like, wow. So that he goes from, this guy must be a really bad dude, to this guy must be a god. And then they go and they see the head of the whole island. His dad's sick. And Paul prays for him. He gets healed. And then everybody's getting healed on the island. And so what is that? How do you fit into that? We may not walk in everything that Paul walked in, but I'm telling you that if you continue to walk with God and allow the prophetic, if even the message I'm giving you, to work in your life, you'll walk out of the reputation you think that people perceive in you, which may or may not be the case. But unless you're willing to shake that stuff off into the fire and keep rolling on with your life and keep being obedient to what God has called you to do, you could end up shipwrecked again. I mean, what are you going to do? What we often do is we get back in the ocean trying to swim for another island. And then we get in a really bad mess because it's the ocean of our emotion, and we're never stable because our emotions are up and down. And so we need to stay on the certain island, the certain provision God has given us, until he raises up a provision for us to go to someplace else. So what is the key, Pastor? This is the key. Get by a fire, serve in a church, and when Satan bites you, shake it off and keep rolling on with your life until God opens a different provision. What got me in trouble in the first place was trying to sail out of a harbor I should have been staying in before he released me to do it. So I'm not repeating that. I've already been shipwrecked. I'm still coughing up a little ocean water out of my lungs from that last experience. So Satan, you don't get to trick me twice, shaking you off in the fire and I'm going to roll on with my life. That's how you let the beauty of the prophetic begin to bring a beauty in your life. And what will happen, and we're going to talk about this next week in a wonderful conversation, God will begin to bring people in your life to help you through this process to run this race and to end well in the season, in the circumstance, and in your life. So look forward to that conversation next week. Look forward to you joining us. If this meant something to you, any of these have, please share it. Like us on our YouTube page. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, other places. We love you. God bless you. And we'll talk to you soon.